Good morning, everyone. I'm Alexis Bonogofsky, and welcome to Yoga for Farmers and Ranchers. And this is the second class in this winter series. So if you haven't seen the first one, I recommend that you go back and watch number one when you can. And this series is going to progressively get more challenging. And so what we're doing is, as we go through the classes, we'll start to build off what we've learned in the previous class. So when you have time, go back and watch number one, maybe redo it a couple of times. And I want to just say a couple of things before we get started and while we let people join us, is that the most important thing with this work is that you should be consistent. So it doesn't mean you have to do an hour class every week. It just means that you should probably pick a couple of these exercises that we're learning and try to do them a couple of times a week. And like I said before in the previous class, sometimes we're too hard on ourselves and we have too high of expectations. So we feel bad if we can't find an hour a week or to find a quiet place and to do these sorts of things. And what I just want you to do is encourage you to just find a little space in your day, maybe just 5 minutes, to do a couple of these exercises and then do them consistently over time. That is when you're going to see the biggest changes in your body and in your mind and in your health. And don't take it too seriously, so try to have some fun. Some of these things are really hard to do, and we feel bad if we can't do them right away. I have a lot of people tell me, well, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible, or I can't do yoga because I don't have very good balance. All we're doing, literally all we're doing, is we're breathing and we're moving our bodies. So there isn't I can do or I can't do, or I'm good at this or I'm bad at this. All this is using our bodies in the way that they're meant to be used and strengthening our muscles where we need to help protect ourselves as we age. So don't take it too seriously. Try to be consistent. Pick a couple things that you know you need to do and just try to do that throughout the week and make just a little space in your day for keeping your body healthy. And I think you'll find that you'll notice changes pretty quickly if you do it regularly. So another thing I think it's important to say is losing flexibility and strength is not inevitable as we age. In a lot of ways, it's sort of the choices we make and what to prioritize. And so your flexibility and strength and mobility, you can increase those as we age. And that's part of this class, is how do we increase our strength, increase our flexibility, and make sure that our bodies can move as we get older. And then the last thing I'll say before we get going is your future self will thank you for doing these classes. Sometimes when I don't want to do something, I'm like, all I think about is, well, future Alexis will really appreciate that past Alexis did this, even though I don't feel like doing it. So just remember that you in the future is going to be really happy that you right now is spending some time to strengthen yourself, increase your flexibility, and make sure that we can move really well. So, okay, we're going to get going here. And like I said in last class, it's really important that we move our spine in all of the ways that it is able to move. Oftentimes, most of us do a lot of forward motion, so we're hunched over things, our computers, our steering wheels, we're picking stuff up in front of us, and so our spine tends to be pretty mobile in the forward direction and then less mobile backwards, side, and twisting. So we're going to start class with just moving our spine. So I want you to find a comfortable seated position. Cross-legged might not work for you. That's okay. You can sit on the edge of a couch, on the edge of a chair, and just scoot up to the edge so that your spine can lift and you can be in a comfortable position where you're not straining. So just allow your hands to come to your knees Try to relax your shoulders down and back. Just take a deep breath in and out and sort of let go of anything that you might be holding on to. A lot of times our monkey minds are just jumping from one thought to another. And so anytime you want to bring your awareness back to your body, all I want you to do is just take a deep breath and just notice how that feels. All right, so we're gonna start moving our spine front to back. So it's like if some of you have done yoga before, it's a cat-cow pose, but in a seated position. So I want you to just take a deep breath in through your nose. And on your exhale, I want you to round your spine back and drop your chin down. And then on your inhale, I want you to lift your chest up and roll your shoulders back. And then exhale and round your spine. And then inhale and lift your chest. Roll your shoulders back. Exhale, round your spine. Spread your shoulder blades. And then inhale, lift your chest up. Roll your shoulders back. All right, one more time. Exhale, round. And then inhale and lift. All right, slowly come back to a neutral position. Maybe wiggle anything out that you need to. Next, we're gonna move our spine laterally. So I just want you to bring your left hand out to the side and then inhale your right arm up. And on your exhale, I want you to gently bend over to the side. So we're lifting up through our rib cage on the side, finding length through the side of your body, and we're not dropping our shoulder in. So I want you to keep your shoulder back. And you can look up if you'd like to, but if your neck gives you any problems, just continue to look forward. And then the hand that's on the floor, I just want you to push a little bit, push into the floor so that your hip drops a little bit, so you can find a little bit more length. All right, slowly come back to your center. And then drop your other hand to the floor. Inhale your left arm up. And then exhale, side bend. So remember, we want to push the floor away so that our hip drops and presses into the floor. And we don't want to let our shoulder drop in. We want to keep it open and just trying to find length through the side body. So laterally flexing our spine. Inhale, slowly come back to your center. Now we're going to twist our spine, and we don't want to crank in our twist. We don't want to grab on and pull as hard as we can. So we want to find length and lift through our spine. So I want you to notice on your inhale that you're lifting up, and on your exhale you're twisting. So just bring your left hand to your right knee, and then bring your right hand to the floor behind you. Okay, and you can do this on your chair or the couch if you're sitting on the edge. So inhale, lift, exhale, gently twist. And again, you don't have to look over your shoulder if your neck is tight or sore or hurts. You can just continue to look to the side or the front, wherever you need to. So every time you inhale, we're lifting, and every time you're exhaling, you might be finding a little bit more space. All right, come back to your center, switch sides. So bring your right hand to your left knee, left hand to the floor behind you. So we're inhaling and lifting, exhaling and twisting. All right, come back to your center. So that spinal series that we just did, back, open, side, side, twist. It's a great way to start your day. It takes you 5 minutes. Try to do it once a day at least. We want our spine to be able to move in all of those ways. All right, now we're just gonna stretch our hips a little bit before we work the strength of our glutes and our hip flexors. So bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees open up wide. This you're gonna have to be on the floor for, so if you're on a couch or a chair, maybe move to the floor. And your feet should be, together, but they can be further away from you if that's comfortable. They can be close to you if that's comfortable. Whatever works. So getting in a nice comfortable position, you can grab onto the soles of your feet if that feels good, or you can just walk your hands forward. I tend to like to walk my hands forward because that leads me not to crank. Like, I don't like to use too much muscle in my stretching because I don't want to overdo it. So if my arms are pulling me down too much, I think it can be a little too much for our bodies sometimes. So I generally like to just let some movement and a little bit of natural weight help me in my stretches. So you pick. You just want to bring your upper body forward. And when we're in our stretching poses, we want to relax our nervous system. So how do we do that? One way is through our exhales. So when you exhale, that's a natural relaxation of your nervous system. So when you're in your stretching poses, you might be able to move a little bit deeper into your poses on your exhale. Another way is to add a little bit of movement into your stretching. So sometimes we try to hold and we crank and we pull to stretch. I want to encourage you to maybe rock a little bit. And you might start to find that you can move a little bit deeper into what you're in, just with adding some gentle movement. All right, slowly come back out. Okay, now we're gonna stretch the back of our legs because we're gonna do some things here where our hamstrings need to be a little bit looser. So just want you to bring your left leg out to the side and then bring your right foot to your inner leg. So if our hamstrings and lower back are super tight, sometimes this is even hard just to sit up. So if you're having a hard time, if you feel like your upper body's kind of dropping back, you might sit up on a harder pillow or something that lifts your hips up off the ground a little bit so that you can find the forward movement that you need. And so here we want to flex our foot. That means toes towards our shin. And then just twist over to your leg and just allow your upper body to relax down. It's the morning. You're probably a little tight, so don't push it. Just find a space where you feel like you're getting a nice stretch and then breathe into it. I like to keep my chest lifted because I feel like I get more stretch through the back of my leg. If you start to round your spine, you're getting a stretch through your back, but maybe not as much through the back of your leg. So I just keep my chest lifted and I try to drop my belly down first instead of my head to my foot. I think belly button to thigh. But you know your body, or maybe we're getting to know our bodies. So if something feels better, then do that. and just notice the difference. Okay, you're slowly gonna come out and switch legs. So right leg out, left leg in. Flex your right foot, inhale, your arms up if you'd like, twist and fold. So I'm tighter on this side. I can't go as far, and that's okay. All of us have imbalances in our body, and that is normal. With a practice, a physical practice like this, you start to notice where you have imbalances, and you might be able to start to get them, the sides of your body, more even, knowing they'll never be the same, and that's okay. So whichever side you're tighter on, you might just spend a little bit more time in the pose until you feel a little bit more parity between the legs or whatever exercise we're doing. All right, we're slowly gonna come up. Okay, so now the fun part, everyone's fun part. We didn't do any abdominal wall exercises the first time because I didn't want to scare you away. But today we're gonna start with one of my favorites, and we're gonna do one, and as we move forward in the series, we're gonna build up. So the last one, we're gonna do quite a few. And your upper skeletal structure is attached to your lower skeletal structure, so your rib cage and your pelvis, only by 5 vertebrae. So this class really is trying to help those 5 vertebrae not have to take all of the weight of everything you do constantly. To help protect your lower back, we have to build up the muscles in our abdominal wall. And there's lots of ways that we do it. It's not all, planks and crunches, of course. So in my class, I like to really do a wide variety of exercises to strengthen your abdominal wall. So we're gonna start with one. Remember, you just do what you can. So you might not do it as long as I'm doing it, and that's okay. So just do what you can, and then take a break, and then you can join me when you're ready, or you can do the class over and over again until you are gaining the strength that you want. So, okay, so we're gonna get on our backs. And this is my dog, Gussie, and she's gonna help us. So I just want you to bring your knees to your chest. And you can wrap your arms around your legs, or you could just grab onto each knee, whatever feels best here. I'm just gonna grab my legs. Remember to exhale all of the air out of your lungs. And remember, you can just grab onto your knees here. You don't have to pull your knees this close. Okay, starting from this position, this is where we're coming into the exercise that will work on our abdominal wall and strengthening the muscles here. So you're gonna extend your arms up to the ceiling, and you're gonna keep the insides of your feet touching, and your palms face the ceiling. So arms stay in this position. So wrists generally over shoulders, insides of your feet touching. And what we do here is we try to bring our knees towards our arms. Okay, so you're doing the lower lift of your hips and bringing your knees in towards your triceps. Okay, so the insides of your feet are touching, your heels are close to your glutes. And what we're gonna do here is, so we're gonna bring our knees in. They may or may not touch your arms. That's okay if they don't. Just do the best you can. And then I want you to straighten your legs in front of you. So you're pulling your knees in, tap your triceps, and then straighten your legs. Okay, so if your lower back gives you problems, your legs are gonna be higher up towards the ceiling as we do this, right? If you want a little bit more, you're going to extend your legs off the floor and then pull your knees in. So the movement will be here. Over time, as your abdominal wall strengthens, we try to get our knees in our armpits. So we're trying to lift our hips pretty high, higher up our arms as we get stronger. Get. All right, continue through this while I try to get my dog out of the way here. So you guys keep going. You guys keep going. Come here. Come here. Sit. Okay. I might have to put her totally out. She might not listen to me here. Okay, guys. Slowly release out and relax. Just drop your feet to the floor here. Okay, so that is a really great one to work the front abdominal wall muscles, your rectus abdominis. And oh, the joys of trying to do this at home. It's just never ending with the animals. Okay, so we just worked the front abdominal wall muscles. Now I just want you to drop your feet to the floor. Widen your feet so that they're wider than your hips, and then slowly allow your knees to rock like windshield wipers. So just back and forth. Okay. All right. Coming back to the center. Now I'm going to give you another exercise for your abdominal wall, so we can get a little bit into our lower belly and our obliques. So I just want you to extend your left leg towards the front mirror and bring your right knee in. So interlocking your fingers around your right shin and pulling it towards your body. Flex your right foot so that your toes are coming towards your shin, and then extend your left leg up towards the ceiling. So you can see our lower body's in a position where one leg is straight, one knee is pulled in. So hip flexors are working on this side. Bring your hands behind your head, your elbows out wide. So keeping your lower body in this position, all you're gonna do is bring your opposite elbow to your bent knee and then come back down. So knee to elbow, keeping your opposite elbow on the floor. So you're exhaling up, inhaling down. If it's too much to keep this leg straight, you can drop it to the floor and just do your elbow to knee without holding that leg up. So you pick, and remember you're exhaling up, inhaling down. Okay, so we add to this. So next time your upper body comes down, you're gonna drop your straight leg to a hover, and then leg comes up, elbow to knee. This is a lot, you guys. Every time I teach this in my class, people groan when they get done with it, but it's really great. There's coordination happening, there's hip flexors, there's abdominal wall. And remember, you're just doing what you can. And then joining me back when you're ready to start. Okay, that's enough for right now. It's only our second class. Okay, so release out. Drop your feet to the floor and then sway your knees side to side. All right, we're gonna do the other side. So extend your right leg to the front mirror, bring your left knee in. Flex your foot, and then extend your right leg up to the ceiling, and try to lift your hips up just a little bit off the floor. Bring your hands behind your head, keep your left on the ground, take a deep breath in, and on your exhale, bring your right elbow to left knee, and then come back down. So you're exhaling up, inhaling down. Feeling contraction in your lower left belly. And your left knee might not be as close to your chest as mine is, and that's okay. You might not even tap your elbow to knee. All right, if you want to add to this, drop your right leg to the floor as you bring your elbow down, and then as your leg comes back up, elbow to knee. Okay, it's a lot. My abdominal wall can feel it. I know I'm going to be sore. Just do the best you can, and then slowly come out. Drop your feet to the mat and sway your knees side to side. All right, you guys, I just gave you 2 abdominal wall exercises that you can start with here. And now I want us to work our glutes and our hamstrings. So we're going to start with just a simple bridge pose and with some extension. So this is kind of step 1 for everyone. And then if you want to do something a little bit more challenging, I'll give you an option for that. So just bring your arms by your side, palms down. Your feet are hip distance apart. And I want you to just inhale, lift your hips, squeeze your glutes, and then exhale and drop. So inhale, lift and squeeze, exhale and drop your hips. So just move with your breath at your own pace. Now, if you get kind of high and your lower back hurts, I don't want you to go that high. So you only go as high as you feel like your back feels good. So some people like really try to lift up really high, and that's too much for your lower back. So maybe you just get this far off the ground, and that's good enough for today. And as you strengthen your glutes, you're going to be able to go a little bit higher with, feeling your back safe. So you just inhale, lift, exhale, drop. If you want to push this a little bit more, you can maybe come up onto your heels and lift your toes off the ground like I'm doing. Okay, everyone, so you can continue to do bridge hip lifts, or if you want a little bit more, you're going to lift your hips up, and you're going to try to keep them up here, and then you're going to do bridge marches. So you're going to shift your weight to one foot and bring your knee in close, and then drop. And then bring your other knee close to your chest and drop. So just take your time. We're not in a hurry, right? So we want to have stability. So we don't want our pelvis rocking side to side. We want to try to keep our hips in one line, and we want to feel strong as we shift our weight. And again, your hips don't have to be super high for this. They can be right off the ground, or they could be a little bit higher. It's a little bit harder. So this is abdominal wall, glutes, hip flexors, all of it. All right, slowly release out whatever you were doing. So that's 2 options for your glutes, hip flexors, and abdominal wall. You have just your bridge lifts up and down, or you could do bridge marches. Okay. Bring your knees to your chest, round your lower back. You can wrap your arms around your legs. My heart rate is up, so I hope yours is too. Or you can just grab onto each knee. All right, you guys, so we're gonna get off the floor here and come into a tabletop position. Some of you might be wondering, why don't I lock my dogs out? Because it is -20 and I can't put them outside, so they are here with me. So I hope you don't mind. All right, so we're gonna start in a tabletop position. So shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees. You can curl your toes under or the tops of your feet flat. So take a deep breath in through your nose, and on your exhale, round your spine. Maybe kind of drop your shoulders in and out. And then inhale, drop your rib cage. Lift your tailbone up, shoulders roll back. And then move just through a couple cat-cows on your own. So lift your spine up and then drop. You know what else I think dogs and cats teach us is that you're never gonna have 60 minutes really, unless you go take a class, kind of without distractions. So I'm like, I need to learn how to practice with my distractions. And that's kind of how it ends up being at home, and that's okay. All right, so we're in this tabletop position, and we're gonna do a little exercise to find and strengthen our transverse abdominis. So that's your deepest core muscle, wraps around your organs. And this stabilizes us. So when we're balancing, lifting, stepping up, we need to have a strong TVA. So from here, I just want you to curl your toes under, and I want you to lift your knees off your mat, maybe like an inch. And you're pulling your belly in and maybe rounding your upper back a little bit. It's harder than it looks. So if someone walked in and saw you doing this, they'd be like, oh, that's easy. It's not easy. It's very hard to do. So just do it as long as you can, and then when you need to drop your knees down, you can do that. All right, I think that's enough for today. So we'll let our knees come down and then give ourselves a little bit of a break. So for this next exercise, you might need to find a chair or a couch to help you with the balance. I'm not going to use one, but I will tell you how to use it. So we're going to stay in our tabletop position, and I want you to extend your right leg straight behind you. So a lot of people will hold their leg up kind of like with their knee bent. I want you to try to straighten your leg and kick through your heel. So your glute should be tight. That is what is holding your leg up here. So if your knee's bent and you're kind of here, I want you to see if you can kick and straighten and then feel the glute engagement. So in our tabletop here, if your wrists start to hurt, you can come to your fists. You can also drop to your forearms. So we're going to warm up our glute maximus here. So I want you to drop your toes to the floor and then kick your heel up. It's a very simple motion, but if you don't feel this in your butt cheek, your leg is probably not engaged in the way you need it to be. This is also what I see in class sometimes, is when people lift their leg, they end up doing kind of a like dropping down because they want to lift their leg higher, and that's not the goal. Like a high leg is not the goal. It is, are we engaging our butt in the way we need to be? Okay, so I can definitely feel this. My glute is already tired. So we're gonna switch sides here. So drop your knee back down and then extend your other leg up. So sometimes you need to poke your butt to see if it's actually engaged. Flex your foot, kick through your heel, and then drop your toes down and lift up. If your leg is bent, you're not going to feel this as much. So work on straightening your leg as much as you can. That means your quads have to be engaged. And remember, no trying to lift high and bending in your lower back. All right, slowly release out. If you need to get off your wrist for a second, you can do that. Sometimes being on our wrists just doesn't work for some of us because of wrist injuries or just various factors. And so always feel free to come to your fists or drop to your forearms. Okay, so this next one is when you're gonna need maybe the couch or a chair. So you're gonna stay in your tabletop and you're gonna extend one leg back and then bring it out to the side. Now, most of you aren't gonna be as high as where my leg is right now. Most of you are probably gonna be down here. That's okay. As we build up, strengthen our side glute, you'll be able to lift your leg higher. Drop your leg to the floor. Walk your hands over to the right. Keep your right hand down. Inhale your left arm up. Push your hips forward. Right. Now we're going to slowly come up. Bring your left hand to your left leg. Inhale your right arm up. Exhale, side bend. All right, so this is where we might need the assistance, and I'm probably going to need it too. Now that I think about it, so I'm just gonna bring this piece of wood. Okay, so our leg is out. I want you to hold on to something that will help you with the balance here, and then lift your leg up. And so all we're gonna do is pulse up and down. So you can feel your side glute engage here. So I will just tell you, most of us have weak glutes. All three muscles, your glute maximus, minimus, medius, are probably, just depending on if you specifically focus on strengthening, they tend to be weak on most of us. So we really focus on strengthening our glute muscles to help protect our lower back. Okay, so we're just pulsing up and down. Now I want you to lift your leg up and then sweep your leg out in front of you. Okay, so now we're in our hip flexors here and the front of our quads. So now we're gonna pulse, drop your leg down, lift up. I know it's a lot. Oof. Okay, leg up. Now sweep it back to its starting position and release down. Sit on your heels, move to the other side, whatever you're using. It might be a chair or a couch or a piece of wood like me. We're gonna change sides here. So coming into your tabletop, extend your right leg back, bring it out to the side, hold. Again, your side glute is what's holding your leg up. And then drop down. Bring your hands over to the left. Inhale your right arm up, push your hips slightly forward. And then side bend, slowly come up, right hand to right leg, left arm up, exhale, side bend. All right, come back to your center. Left hand down on whatever you have for balance. Point your right toes, hover off the floor, and pulse. Okay, we're in our side glute here. Okay, it's a lot, so just do what you can. Okay, now we're going to sweep our leg out in front. So now we're in our hip flexors, front of our quads, and pulse up. And remember, you're doing as many as you can. We don't want cramping to happen. And then you take a break, and then join in when you're ready, or maybe that's good for now. All right. Hover your leg, sweep it back out to the side, and release down. All right, nice job, you guys. So we're gonna come to a standing position to work on our integrated core. So what does that mean? So we can strengthen our core muscles, so hip flexors, glutes, inner thighs, abdominal wall. But if those muscles don't learn how to work together, that is less ideal, right? So we can have strong muscles that don't know how to work together, or we can have muscles that know how to work together, which is more important, right? So individual strength of the muscles isn't as important as their ability to work as a team. So that's what this second part of class is about. And to do that, we have to add in a little bit of balancing help, or balancing poses to help our muscles learn. And also, we work on single leg stability. So strengthening our stability on one leg is super important as we age, so that like if we feel unstable or we kind of lose our balance, like, do we have the strength in one leg to kind of help us not fall, basically, and not hurt ourselves. So so we do a lot of work on single leg stability. So I'm just gonna have you stand up, and hold on, I'm gonna move my camera so maybe we could see myself a little bit better. Okay, so we're gonna start in a chair pose. So just come to wherever is comfortable. I'm gonna have you drop your seat down. Your legs can be close together or a little bit separate, whatever is most stable for you. Okay, so we're in our chair pose. You can bring your hands to your heart. First, I want you to just lift your left heel up. So you're just lifting your left heel up, but you're on your tiptoes. So your toes are on the floor. And then you can drop your seat as much as you would like to. Okay, so from there, I want you to shift your weight all the way to your right leg and just pull your left knee towards your chest. So single leg chair pose. This is, if you're falling out, that's okay, right? This is not about perfection. This is about practicing our balance. So if you're falling out, that is fine. Okay, so from here, I want you to see if you can straighten your left leg. Okay, and then point your left toes. And now sweep your left leg out to the side. So your standing leg is bent slightly still. Okay, sweep your left leg straight behind you. Now your glute maximus takes over. All right, you guys, from here, you're gonna just float your back toes down towards the floor. Okay, so your front leg is bent, your back leg is straight. Your back leg's butt cheek is tight. So we're keeping a strong back leg by having our hamstrings, our glutes, our quads all engaged. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit challenging, and we're working on our single leg stability. So from here, it's not a huge step back. I want you to shift your weight forward again and see if you can lift your back leg back up. Okay, we're going to do this a couple times. So I want you to float your toes down, hold, shift your weight forward and lift. Okay, float your toes down and hold. Shift your weight forward and lift. Okay, my standing leg is shaking. That is what we want. Okay, back. One more time. Shift your weight forward and lift. Whew. Okay. Okay, bring your knees back together. One-legged chair. So your right leg should be on fire right now. And then your foot down into a chair pose. And release. Okay. My heart rate is super elevated, so I hope yours is too. Okay, we're gonna switch sides. So I'm gonna just turn around here. Coming into your chair pose. So hips down and back. All right, now your right heel comes off the floor. You're on your right tiptoes. Okay, so this shifts most of our weight into our left leg. It's just the beginning, right? So we're just starting to prepare it for what will come in the future. Okay, so from here, shift all of your weight to your left leg and bring your right knee up towards your chest. So hip flexors, right? Like, how are we holding our knee up like this? It's our hip flexors. Okay, from here, we're gonna try to straighten our leg. Try to keep your knee as high as you have it, and then straighten. Ooh, that's hard. All right, point your toes. Sweep your leg out to the side, hold. So side glute here. Okay, sweep your legs straight behind you. So glute maximus, your big glute muscle, is holding your leg up. You're squeezing your quads, lengthening your leg. Okay, now gently float your toes back. Most of your weight should still be in your front leg. So try to straighten your back by lifting your heel up, squeezing your glute and the front of your thigh. Okay, so from this position, we're gonna try our step forwards. So single leg stability here. So shift your weight forward, lift your leg up. Okay, float your toes back down. Try not to give up on your front leg. Shift your weight forward, lift your leg up. Drop your toes back. Okay, don't give up. We want that stress and fatigue in our front leg. Leg lifts up, shift your weight forward. Okay, drop your toes back. 2 more times. Shift your weight forward, lift up. You can do it. You've all been through harder things than this, right? Future you will thank you. Drop your toes back, and then lift your leg up. Woo! All right, bring your knees together. One-legged chair. Drop your foot to the floor. Chair pose, hold for 3, 2, 1, and release out. Okay. All right, we're gonna do one more balancing pose here. So just notice how that felt for you. If you were falling all over the place, remember that is a good thing, because what you are doing is building new neural pathways in your system so that it will recognize that feeling again. So let's just take our step forward. So when we were practicing that, there was a lot of, you were recruiting your side glute, your glute maximus, your thigh, everything. And so the next time you're in a position where you're stepping up or stepping into something and you might lose your balance, your nervous system will remember what you just did and what you did to correct it. So if you started to fall out but you caught yourself, the more you do that, the more you're prepping yourself for a successful, I guess, catching yourself in the future. Like if you slip, or if you're walking upstairs and something happens and you're caught off guard, your nervous system will be better prepared. So just remember that balancing is not about perfection. It is about practicing and training our body to be ready for all different sorts of scenarios. So that step forward is a really great way to practice that. So the last standing one we'll do is a balancing pose. So I just want you to shift your weight into your right leg, and I want you to lift your left up. And so in this position, we've got about 90 degrees between our shin bone and our thigh bone, and our foot is flexed. A lot of times I'll look back in my class and people's foot will be like down. I want you to flex it. That means you have more leg engagement. I don't care about your foot that much. I care about your leg engagement. So when you flex your foot and are engaged here, that means you're engaged in other places. Okay, so our left leg is up. We're just gonna inhale our arms up overhead. Bring your right hand to your left leg. So I'm gonna turn this way. Woo. And then we're gonna twist. So bring your left hand behind you. So what are we doing here? We're twisting our spine. We are working our hip flexors because we're holding our knee up. We're balancing on our left leg, so we're using our glute medius and maximus, and we're using our abdominal wall to hold us up. All right, slowly come out, back to your center. Drop your foot down. We're gonna switch sides. So lift your right leg up. We have that 90 degrees between our thigh bone and shin bone. Our foot is flexed. It is not just sitting here dangling off our ankle, right? Flex your foot. Inhale your arms up. Bring your left hand to your right knee. And then option to twist. So it's always been important to me to know why we do the things we do in yoga, which is why I've created this kind of hodgepodge class of different, physical therapy and yoga and Pilates, and because I want to know why we're doing the movements we're doing. And so when I'm in a pose, I'm thinking about my muscles, like, oh, I'm using my hip flexors to hold my knee up. I am using
my abdominal wall to stabilize my spine. I'm using my side glute for balance. And in that way, I can start to sort of activate and recruit within my body to understand what I need to do to hold the position. All right, okay, I think that's enough here. So we can come out, your feet meet, taking a couple deep breaths. Inhale through your nose, maybe exhale throughout your mouth if you'd like. My heart rate is elevated, feels good. All right. Now, we're going to do a forward fold. For some of us, we might not do a full forward fold, and that's okay because our hamstrings might be super tight and our back might not let us. And so I'm going to move you through a couple options here. You can come down to a halfway lift where your hands just come to your thighs or your shins, and you push your butt out so that your hamstrings are getting a good stretch, and you can also keep your knees bent. And those of you that want to go further, feel free to allow your upper body to just drop. And again, you don't have to have straight legs. There are no prizes for straight legs. So if you want to bend your knees, feel free. And then you have an option to grab onto opposite elbows and sway your upper body side to side. All right, come back to your center. Inhale up to your halfway lift. And slowly release out. All right, you guys, we're gonna just come back down to a seated position. All right, so we're gonna do some of the same stretching poses we did when we started class, just to see if we've gained any more space within our body. So I just want you to bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees open up wide. And maybe move around a little bit. And again, you can grab onto your feet and bend your elbows, bring your upper body down, or you can just walk your hands forward and bring your chest down. This is hula, just in case you were wondering. And then that's Rolo on the couch. And then the big white one is kind of a puppy. Her name is Gus. Okay, slowly come out, bring your left leg out, bring your right foot to your inner thigh, sit up tall, inhale, arms up, exhale, twist and fold. Maybe just have a little bit more space. All right, gently come out and stay in it longer if it feels good. Inhale, arms up, exhale, twist and fold.
Okay, gently come out. Okay, now we're gonna bring both legs out in front. Now, this forward fold can be really tense. So sometimes I like to start with my legs bent and then grab onto your feet. And then you can just slowly walk your heels out. And if your legs end up straightening, you can fold over your legs, or you can just keep your legs bent, grabbing onto your feet and just kind of stretching, kind of pressing your belly against your thighs. All right, gently come out. All right, everyone, that was our second session. So thank you for joining me either live or on replay. And the way that the series will be sort of organized is it will keep continuing to build off each class. So what we learned previously we'll take, and we might do a little bit more and more challenging. But so I encourage you to sort of re-watch these and learn the exercises that really resonated with you and see if you can do those once or twice a week. Take like 5 minutes to do those and then see how you progress from there. I realize that most people can't take a full 60 minutes and do the whole class. If you can do that, that is great. But I just encourage you to pick those kind of pieces out that you feel like you need, and then just try to have some consistency with those movements in your day, because you can basically do most of this wherever you're at, except for the times we're on our back, then you probably have to be inside. The last thing I will leave you with to prepare us for the next session is that farmers and ranchers have to step up a lot. So stepping up like into a tractor with a high step, or stepping up into a stirrup, or there's lots of different scenarios where we're on one leg, so we have to have balance and we have to pull ourselves up. And I know enough aging farmers and ranchers to know that as people get older, the harder it is to step up and then pull yourself up. So I will encourage you to work with me on the hip flexor exercises. So anytime we're pulling our knee up and then we're pushing off, your hip flexors right here, group of muscles that help you do that. Most people have weak hip flexors. As you strengthen your hip flexors, it will change your life. I have, because it's changed my body and how I move in the world, I've seen it happen with so many of my students that I want to encourage you to really focus on my exercises that strengthen your hip flexors. Most people think that their hips are super tight, and they might be, but in addition to tightness, our hips, the muscles around our hips tend to be weak. So as you strengthen the muscles, your hip flexors, your side glute, your glute maximus, you will find that your hips feel less tight. So I just want to say that so that when you rewatch these videos or you join me for the next videos, that you can really start to consider about how that movement impacts you in your daily life and how it feels to strengthen those hip flexors. So thank you guys so much for joining me and tolerating my animal kingdom. I appreciate all of you, and always feel free to leave comments or reach out if you want me to focus on something in particular. I'd be happy to integrate that into what I'm teaching. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see you next week.